Welcome back on Spirits Network for another episode of your favorite show, Whiskey Wednesday. It's virtual, it's live, but let me tell you, it's real for all of us. Today, it's another Game of Thrones edition, but it's a special one. Why? Very simply because this is our own take on the Game of Thrones season finale. Yep, we're looking at who should really be the very star. Okay, so how about House Tully, House Tyrell, and the Six Kingdoms? Yeah, you got it. It's the Singleton of Glendalin, it is Clynelish, and Mortla. So you're in for a treat. Welcome to our Maxim viewers. You know, Maxim viewers, you always have a seat at our virtual bar. I think you will be liking this one. And, okay, look, I don't know if you realize what's going on, but personally, I like to have my great Scotch neat. Okay, well, we're gonna bring a twist to all of this today. But it's only my position anyway, right? It's very personal. Like, look, it's only one man's take on things. Some people believe that Daenerys should have won. Others inexplicably so rooted for Jon Snow. You know what I'm saying. Being personal, it works for me, it may not work for you. But today, I want to bring it quite a bit of a variation. And I've got special guests for doing just that. We're talking about cocktails. And you'll see in a second, I've got Tanika and Johnny, my very special guests today. They are the cocktail bandits, and they'll have to convince us that we can have these pure beauties, those single malt Scotch whiskies, in a cocktail way. In order to keep it real, I have another special guest, and well, you know him. He is my very good friend, National Whiskey Ambassador Extraordinaire, Ewan Morgan, because we still need to keep some integrity in all of this, right? I mean, we can play with those single malts, right? We love playing, but we gotta keep it real. So, in other words, let's just respect those single malts just the way we respect the Iron Throne. My dear cocktail bandits, welcome on the show. And I've got to know right away, why are you bandits? How did you come up with the name? I think it's really cool, but you got to tell me.
Well, first, thanks for having us on tonight with you. We are so grateful to be here. I'm Johnny Caldwell.
I'm Tanika Reeves,
And we are the Cocktail Bandits.
your curly ladies who talk cocktails and Scotch daily.
That's right. So we got the name Cocktail Bandits, through happenstance. We were out one night with some friends. We had intentions on getting one drink at the bar, but cut to a couple hours later, our table was full of champagne glasses, shot glasses,
Punch bowls.
Yes.
So we called ourselves the Bandits of Cocktails, and it kind of stuck after that.
Ooh, I love that sound.
Look, I love the story, and yes, you're right, it's a good sound. So, well, you bandits are going to have, through this episode of Whiskey Wednesday, to convince both of us. And Ewan is very open-minded. I believe I am too. But look, we drink whiskey for a living. We sip whiskey for a living, truly. So I'm gonna have those neat. Ewan will have those neat as well, but I have the advantage of having your cocktails as well. So I'm having neat and in the cocktail for each of them. Let's try to convince him. Ewan, I really, really like to start with the Singleton of Glendalin, House Tully. Generally speaking, we've been through a few Singleton of Glendalin during the Whiskey Wednesdays. We love it. We love Singleton for its versatility. Really, for me, it's a before dinner. It's ideal this way. Why the choice of the Singleton of Glendalin for a Game of Thrones edition?
Well, Singleton, specifically the Glendalon distillery, was picked because it sits right on a river. So it sits on the River Fiddich, in a small village in Speyside called Dufton. I was born there. We're actually tasting another whiskey from Dufton, which is more like a little later on in the show. But it used to be driven by a water wheel, so they were harnessing water in exactly the same way. If you watch the show, you know, the house Tully were revolved around the sea, water. It's an intrinsic part of their life. So that was the real connection between the two.
All right, so the water element it is. Okay, fine, you got
Yeah.
me. It's zesty, it's fresh. I love it just like this. Bandits, what are you gonna make to enhance the dram, if I may?
Well, we are based in beautiful and historic Charleston, South Carolina, and we love being able to infuse a little bit of Southern flair, a little bit of our cocktail culture from Charleston with this. And when we taste on it, it's exquisite, it's beautiful Scotch. I mean, it would be a great beginner Scotch. We deal with a lot of people who are new to, you know, Scotches and bourbons and cognac. So this would be a good introductory cocktail for them.
Absolutely.
So we're going to start with this cocktail that we called the New King.
All right.
And we're going to be using a little bit of the Singleton, obviously. We're using a 1/2 ounce of that. Wonderful. Showing it right there. Then we're also going to be using some of that creme de cassis. When I tasted this, I got a lot of like raisin and plummy vibes out of it. So I wanted to reinforce that using the creme de cassis. So we're using a 1/2 ounce of that as well. Mixing all that goodness in there. Now we're going to use a single cube and give all this a good stir in our mixing glass. Just putting a little chill on it and incorporating all that goodness together. All right. So we're gonna use our strainer to strain all of that goodness in there. Now we're gonna add some bubbles to add a little bit of effervescence and a little bit of lift to the cocktail too.
Woohoo.
Oh. We love popping bottles over here.
Yes. It's a little tight.
I love a bit of
It
lift.
is. Give me an assist, Bran. My hand is a little.
It tells me the cocktail is going to be even better because if you have to struggle for it, it will taste better.
That's right.
That's a good
And we don't want
analogy.
anything.
We don't want to attack anyone. We don't want to talk about.
There it is.
Exactly.
Thank you to our wonderful assistant over there, Julia. She's so helpful. So there we go. We add a little champagne there, and that just kind of gives it a nice little color too. And we're just going to add a simple garnish, a little bit of rosemary to add some more of those herbal notes. I got a lot of herbal notes off of the Singleton as well.
Well, everyone, just like
Ooh,
magic,
it's good.
I've got one right here that my very, very
Look at
special
that.
bartender made. So let's give it a try.
Mm-hmm.
I'm reaching
Are we
over
calling
and
this
hoping the
cocktail
magic of TV is going to give me a cocktail.
Well, you may not be touched by magic, Ewan, but
Tell me about
certainly
it.
this way. You know, it's funny. You got me there, ladies. You know why? Because the creme de cassis is very, very dear to me because this is a very specialty of my home region, Burgundy, France, where I'm from, right? And this is just the right amount of sweetness to add to the whiskey. And this rosemary happens to be my favorite herb, botanical, whatever you want to call it, to say it's sunny out there. And I would have personally never put these elements together, but the fun of the bubbles, that sweet, rich, red black currant, that cassis, and the rosemary, well, it does work for me. So not only is it is it a pass? But it's you're getting an A plus on this. I can tell you that, right? And then
Well, thank you.
I'll still have the Singleton
The
neat,
neat.
but hey, this works very well. So this is the new king. I think the
That's the new
flavors
king.
are very well integrated, and that is to show you that once again, the Singleton of Glendalin is extremely versatile. So we love it for that. Sorry, Ewan, you couldn't really taste that, but I promise, trust me on this, it works. The Bandits made it work.
I could jump
Thank
in
you.
and probably add some context to why it works, if that's helpful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Please.
So Singleton of Glendalin is a very long fermentation. So it's about 75 hours fermentation. So as length expands in whiskey fermentation, so does fruit. So around about 75 hours, you're going to see quite a lot of fruit. We're also doing a long distillation. And the reason why that is important is because the more copper contact you get, the more catalyzation we have. That's a very fancy way of just saying change. So we have a lot of change of flavor. So going from quite a sulfury quality through to a very fruity quality is all down to that copper. And then we're reinforcing that sweetness, obviously, with American oak. So we're using rejuvenated American oak in there. So a lot of vanilla's getting put in there. So a lot of berry influence, which you guys picked up on, which was wonderful. And then that really nice sweetness there. So almost kind of like a Kir Royale riff, although I didn't taste it. So very, very delicious.
Absolutely. I mean, it is a Scottish version of a Kir Royale. Love it. Well, so now,
Yes, what he said. That was a great explanation.
Yes, that was awesome.
I mean, that's why we have
Very
you
welcome.
on. I mean, because the guy doesn't really need to be tasting cocktails to tell you why it works. He's a little bit of a magician himself. He's been playing with whiskey for quite a few years too.
Little bit.
And you can tell by looking at him that he's got that whiskey wisdom well acquired.
I wouldn't
I love
close
that.
my-
Yeah. So, but now that you've established your credentials clearly, you can do it. I want to say it's probably the easiest one to play with. Now I'm getting a little nervous because this single malt here, this Kleinlich House Tyrrell Kleinlich Reserve. You know, I absolutely love this, and I don't know how I feel about mixing it. To be honest, I'm not sure. It's a little tricky. You can you really make it even better than it is just like that? I already have a cocktail in the glass when I pour myself a glass of Kleinlich. So look, you know, it's maybe I should not be a purist. Oh, wait a second.
Open your mind, Flavio. Open your mind.
I want to open my mind. I'm all ready for it, right? But you know, every time I go back to that Japanese restaurant and I have sushi, I still have trouble putting wasabi on my piece of sushi. Why? Maybe because I really want to have the fish itself. But hey, I love cocktails too. So let's try this. I'm having it neat, and so is Ewan. Ewan, what do you say? What would you like to see on Kleinlich being taken about for a twist?
Well, I am obsessive about Kleinlich. Anyone you talk to who knows me will tell you that I cannot say enough good things about it. It's one of the most unique whiskies on the planet, not only because of its flavor profile, but also because of its unique mouthfeel, which is that right citrusy, waxy character. This one is a 51.2 ABV, so quite high proof, over 100 proof. So I'd be quite interested to see what you wonderful ladies have got to mix with it and how you're going to work with these incredible flavors.
You Bandits, take it away and show us what it's like.
We love a challenge.
Yes, we do. And as you guys know, we are Charlestonians, so we are close by the water as well. We know that this wonderful Scotch is a maritime Scotch as well. So we definitely wanted to play on the flavors of citrus. We wanted to play on that waxy flavor. So we did a play on a highball, and we're gonna start right now. So we did 1 ounce. And I usually do 1.5 ounces, but because this is such a higher proof,
Yeah.
I went lower.
Very smart friend.
And I got some coconut water to play on the salinity of, being by the beach, being by the water. And the coconut water really softens up some of the waxiness and some of the mouthfeel of the cocktail.
It adds like a creamy note to it.
It does. So that was supposed to be 2.5 ounces. I do a little splash of lemon just to open it up. I'm not trying to have it super citrusy. And we're using our Spirits Network glass to add some ice. And then I am going to top it with some tonic water. Well, soda water, excuse me. Once we do that, we are going to have a lemon peel, and we're going to make it into a cute little curly, and then we're going to drop it in there. And that is our cocktail. It is called the Scotsman's Paradise.
Mm-hmm.
Well, cheers to that. I think the name is very well chosen. Again, as per the magic that happens on a set, I got one too. It smells absolutely beautiful. It's very zesty and refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a word.
Yes. I definitely
What
love
was
some.
what was it called? The Foxy Scotsman?
No, that's funny. I should have done that, but it's the
Scotsman's Paradise, right?
Scotsman's Paradise.
Yes.
I thought you'd named it after me. I was just to be very nice to you. I was like, well, thanks very much.
I wish I would have known that, man. But it is saline. Like the coconut water does have a little bit of salinity to it, and it kind of like blends with the scotch. So this is why I chose to use coconut water.
Coastal vibes.
You know, I've got to say, I would have never put those elements together, and yet it's lovely. So this is a skill that bartenders have, mixologists, is to just go beyond what the natural assimilations could be, what you think could be calling for this or that. Think it twice and try and revisit. That is a very good example of certainly something that you've made a few of, I believe, and you probably got quite a few friends in love with your creations, because this really works on a summer day. Absolutely, ladies.
Absolutely.
You
It's great
are
with
bandits.
crab rice.
You are winning my heart. This was not an easy task on this client list, but certainly, yes, I like it, and it ain't easy to be mixy. So
It's not,
true.
but I'm so
That's
glad
true.
you like that cocktail.
I mean,
We have a book full of recipes just like this that are simple, easy to make at home. It's called Holy Spirits, Charleston's Culture Through Cocktails. It has over 50 original recipes in it. And we use a lot of local ingredients because we want to share all of our Charleston beverage love to everyone who enjoys it all over the country.
Absolutely. And with this cocktail, this cocktail perfectly pairs with seafood. We eat crab rice here, lots of fish, lots of different clams and oysters, and this would be a perfect daytime drink to go with.
Shrimp and grits?
That's
Shrimp.
it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it. Stop it. I told you already won my heart. Now, if you bring the food in, ladies, I'm yours. I'm ready. I'm on that plate. Stop it. I mean,
We are Southern Belles. We have to feed you a little something too.
Absolutely.
I know. Well, you know how to do it, certainly. Hey, listen, I was nervous before this one because it's Kleinish and because I love it so much. But now, I mean, talk about pressure and stress. The next edition of this Game of Thrones, you're talking about the Six Kingdoms of Mortlag. This would be totally crazy to mix. This would be insane. So I'm like, what can you do to make it better than it already is? I don't think you can do it. So the challenge is all yours. Let's see.
We love a challenge. We love a challenge, and we really enjoyed this edition, this expression, 15-year. We love something that's been aged, that's been rested. You know, we feel like we get better with age every year. So, you know, this Morlock really brought all of that barrel aging. I think it was rested in ex-bourbon barrels. So someone who isn't very familiar with Scotch, this also would give them some feels of a very aged bourbon. So this, for someone who likes a cigar, this would be a great bourbon, a great Scotch to sip along with that. So what we did was we wanted to keep that as clean as possible. We didn't want to muddy that with any juices or any mixers. We wanted that to really shine. So we're going to use 1.5 ounces of this and pour it directly into the glass. Let me get that bar spool, friends. Thank you much. And we're just going to give it a little bit of a turn to add a little bit of a chill onto that. So what we did earlier is we took some peach slices and we doused them with some brown sugar so that we could add a nice little sugary coat to it. And we're just going to take the torch and we're going to put a little bit of heat on this guy. And that's going to create like a brulee type of feel.
Caramelization.
Yes. A little bit of brown sugar, baby, for y'all guys. And for your cocktail. So that's giving this a really good color. It's adding a little bit of smoky feel to it as well. I think that'll do it. So I'm just going to place one right on top of this ice cube that we already have in the glass. Like that. And then I'm also going to put a little bit of heat on this thyme that we have here too, just to add a little bit of, have those herbal flavors really kind of come out of the glass. And we're just going to drop that right in there. And what are we calling this one here, Tanika?
We're calling this the smoking gun.
That's right, the smoking gun.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And then
The smoking gun, you said.
the smoking gun, you're going to get some sweetness off on the nose from the peaches, and then you're going to get some herbal notes from off of that thyme. So it's a good mixture to have that aromatically. When you sip in the Scotch, you get all of those feels.
And all the
Ladies,
smoke.
with your smoking gun, you just exterminated any and all fears I had that you would not be able to enhance this whiskey. Is it sacrilege? No. If you're in the hands of the Bandits, it's okay to be bad for a second. It smells amazing.
Yes.
I mean, the thyme and the peach, it works. Ewan, you're pretty nervous too. What's your take on this whole thing?
I was genuinely nervous. I was born about 200 feet away from this distillery, so it's got a special place in my heart. So people dabbling in the mixology with my beloved Mortlach does make me a little antsy, but it does sound very delicious. You know, you're using caramelized fruit in there, so you're going to be really enhancing the fruitiness that's within the spirit already. So I love that. This is at 46 ABV, so there's a little bit more oomph to it. The reason why it's at 46 ABV is because in the 1930s, Mortlach, which was called Cowie's Blue Seal at that point, was sold in Macy's in New York. It was the house whiskey of Macy's, so that's why it had the same ABV as in the 1930s. It's a very unique whiskey as well. They do a partial double, partial triple, partial quadruple distillation in there. So it's effectively like having 3 distilleries in one still house. They're producing a malty, a fruity, and a very heavy, robust spirit there. So it's a cocktail of whiskeys that you have then created a cocktail from. So there's a wonderful, I hate to use this word, synergistic quality going on here. But you seem to have done it wonderfully. I just wish I had one to drink myself, which I don't.
Well, you're going to have to make yourself one because it's really worthy trying. I guarantee you. I mean, look, you know,
Right.
Tanika and Johnny, when you were telling me earlier that you've got to open up your mind, I couldn't agree more. Having it one way in the end can be also bland, right? Of course, you can change the scenery, you can change the company, the friends you're with, you can change the surroundings, the setting of your tasting. You can be one day on the porch, or you can be in your very solitary confinement of the apartment, but you could also be out with friends. You can be by the beach. You can be in so many different places. You will have a different take on the whiskey, right? Which is why it's always very important to revisit the whiskey. But the cocktail bandits are proving that you need to try many other things, right? It's got to be colorful. It's got to be varied. It's very important. Ice, no ice? Yes, of course. Why not? I mean, look, I happen to have a very talented bartender. He's been learning for the past few years, and under your very instructions that he followed by the letter, he made a very good cocktail. It's just another face of malt life. So why not? It works. You've taken the anxiety out of me. And Ewan, thank you very much for agreeing with me. It is definitely worth visiting. Now, I gotta say, with this, you bandits are extremely talented bandits.
Thank you.
The charm of those cocktail bandits, you gotta fall for it. Anyway, look, the end of the day, do I prefer this or do I prefer that? I think I like them both. You should definitely try this at home. I'm gonna stick to this one. And, well, look, I hope that you will look at Scotch whiskey in a different way. Certainly, single malt Scotch whiskey is a big world, right? Because of the fermentation styles, because of the distillation rates, because of so many other ingredients, so to speak, that you put in the single malt Scotch making, as Ewan was saying. You've got different flavors. The impact of the copper pot still, the impact of the maturation, the bandits were mentioning the ex-bourbon barrel, with all of the other barrels that can be used for the maturation of Scotch whiskey. It is true that if you want a world of flavors, an explosion of aromas, you don't need to go the cocktail way. But why would you make your life less rich by not taking that route? So I want to thank you, ladies, for showing me the light in the glass. And I want to thank you, Ewan, for holding my hand on this unbeaten path to single malt Scotch whiskey exploration. You've been a good friend yet once again, and it's not always easy to be my friend. Well, at the end of the day, you guys, you viewers, whether you are wonderful Maxim viewers, our Spirits Network Explorer members, or our Facebook Live viewers, you should always trust your bartender. If you've got a good friend who says, well, you know, I can whip up something pretty good for you, just trust me, maybe it's worth trusting him or her, right? And by now, we're all missing our favorite bartenders, right? I mean, this is what confinement has done to all of us. Your bartender is not just your best friend, the one that you can tell all these secrets to, and that hopefully the rest of the bar will not know about within the next week. A great bartender is someone who can read your mind and assess your flavor preferences. So you need to put yourself in the hands of your favorite bartender. If you don't have one, just go out and seek out that favorite bartender. So I want to thank all of you.
We like to encourage people to take on the home bar and do some research and take it into your own hands. I learned how to make cocktails by buying a kit offline and just making the cocktails with different local ingredients. So just take away that fear of, not being educated or not being a sommelier. You don't have to have certification to make a really good drink.
Absolutely.
So just experiment. That's right. We love using local ingredients that we have here in Charleston, like loquats. We love infusing muscadine grapes,
pickled okra,
Bene wafers, pecans, like just taking that southern flair, which whatever you're comfortable with, and just applying that to what you like to put in your cocktail.
Absolutely.
I mean, I couldn't agree more.
I would just like to say on that same vein, please do not buy a home kit and distill whiskey at home without a federal license.
Right. Just make the cocktails.
Yeah, just make the cocktail. Buy the whiskey already made. It's always safer, especially if those guys have been making it for hundreds of years. It's always a safer bet. And you're right, ladies. Do not be afraid to mess things up and to change things around. Trial by error, and sometimes you just nail it. This is the one you'll be making for your friends. So let's buy your book, ladies. Let's get those Game of Thrones limited releases, right? And let's fight for the throne of the best mixologist, bar chef, bartender, whatever you want to call yourself. Well, look, it's been fun.
Bandit.
I love you, Bandits. Thank you so much, Ewan, for keeping us in check. And
Very welcome.
I do suggest for those Spirits Network Explorer members that you'd move on, that you'd cross that border and get us to help you with your Bottle of the Month service membership. Yeah, you can become an enthusiast or connoisseur, and we'll take care of choosing that bottle for you. It's a very dedicated curating team that helps me choosing those bottles right for you. This being said, I've got another trick up my sleeves. Well, more than a trick, really, it's a surprise. Because next week, same place, same time, and that's 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be playing with one distillery, several expressions. Yep. Guess what? Because Talisker rhymes with oyster, well, I figured we'd put them together. So get yourself the bottles of the Talisker 10, the Talisker Storm, and the Talisker 18 years old, and get yourself some oysters, because we'll be pairing those together. Okay? So be with me. Plus, I've got a special guest. Yeah, the distillery manager of Talisker, Diane Farrell. So if you've got questions for her, it will be the right day, the right time to do so. Until then, and as always, drink responsibly. Ladies, Ewan, great thanks. Cheers. Slanjva.
Cheers.
See you next week.
Slanjva.